The new school year well underway across the state of Illinois. Students going to kindergarten for the first day weeks ago. Students starting their first week of the final year of their high school education. So obviously a pretty exciting time, but there's still a lot of concerns from parents out there as to what is being taught in schools, and especially when it comes to the issue of sex education. To talk more about this and some interesting findings that Awake Illinois was able to get through a Freedom of Information Act request, Shannon Adcock, the founder of that group, is with us now, and she talks about, what schools are opting out of sex ed, or I guess I should say, Shannon, what schools are opting in to sex education. Give us the overhead here. How many are in or how many are out, and where are we seeing this take place across the state? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Greg. Well, here's the good news. This is what a lot of parents are saying, the first normal or feels normal back to school year for a lot of families in Illinois. So that's the good news. And we hope everybody is having a great school year. The most centering issue right now in the parental rights movement is this concern over the sexualization of children. And Illinois has been on the radar since August of 2021 when Pritzker passed into law the Comprehensive Sexual Education Bill, which is incorporating the national sex education standards into the curricula. And so from then forward, Awake Illinois has been very focused on empowering parents to know that they can opt out of this radical, what we believe to be a radical sexualizing agenda in the classroom. And so with this report that came out, we saw that there were some pretty broad figures that they put into this report, the Illinois State Board of Education. And so we did this Freedom of Information Act request to get a little bit more specific information on what school districts were reporting about what they have incorporated for comprehensive personal health and safety and sexual health education reporting. And what we saw is that advocacy did work over the last couple of years. Only 206 school districts out of the 758 have opted in. So that is great, great news. School boards are listening to the concerned citizens and saying, okay, we will not incorporate this. But when we dug into the data, we saw that some of these very large school districts have opted in. And they are actually reporting how many students K through 12 have opted out, meaning their parents have stipulated their wishes and said, please do not put our children into the classroom for these discussions. Chicago Public Schools, unfortunately, reported, and we have to take them at their word, that 0 students opted out of this curricula. So if that report is incorrect, we did do due diligence, and we did do a new Freedom of Information Act request to Chicago Public Schools asking, is this survey response correct? And so we do see a lot of opportunity, though, in other school districts where there's very low opt-out. And I think it's an issue of transparency, Greg, where school districts are not telling parents that they can. And they're not telling them when specifically this curricula is being implemented into a kindergarten through 12 classroom. And so with this report, people can go look for their district. They can see where the curricula is being implemented kindergarten through 12. And we have linked to the forms that parents can submit to stipulate their parental rights. And I think that this is also a very important education moment where, parents need to understand parental rights are not granted to you by politicians, right? They are protected. And actually, a due process clause of the 14th Amendment protects the fundamental right of parents to direct the care, upbringing, and education of their children.
Well, Shannon, I think it's rather fascinating to see that, while the majority of school districts have not opted in, it looks like the largest school districts have opted in, and that could essentially, under that umbrella, be the majority of students in the state of Illinois. So we'll obviously be tracking that. One thing I definitely wanted to get your response to, and we're seeing this play out more and more, even here in Springfield, the Illinois State Library had to evacuate because of a bomb threat. And it seems that there's some, even though we don't know where these threats are coming from, there's this kind of political push to try to, paint parental rights as those who are responsible for this. What's your reaction to that?
Isn't that a shame? And, when we have the Secretary of Education Cordona basically implying that he's frustrated with concerned parents and implying that they are poorly behaved. You know, it's no different when these threats come in and groups like Awake Illinois are tagged as being responsible. This is limiting the discussion that's very much needed around parental rights and around the valid concerns of parents. And so I believe it to be, quite frankly, a a bully tactic and an intimidation tactic to silence parents. Awake Illinois has no affiliation with any threats that are made, and I have yet to see any documentation or proof from law enforcement that, we have no idea if it's even happening in Illinois. This could be a foreign effort, who knows? But we absolutely, disavow any effort to threaten any of these, libraries or any institution. That's wrong. But what we are aiming to do is advocate with respect and to empower regular citizens to petition their policymakers and to elevate their concerns. But yeah, this whole concept of trying to pin these threats on regular people is a shame, and we should not be limiting the discourse that, again, is very much needed on these issues.
Shannon Adcock, tell us where people can find more information about Awake Illinois.
Yes, so go to our website, www.awakeil.com, and you can see this latest report. Head to the blog to look at the data. It's very much important that parents know what's happening in your district, in your child's classroom. And I encourage you to have a constructive dialogue with your teachers, with the staff, so that your children are going to have a fruitful and rewarding experience in school.
Shannon Adcock, Awake Illinois founder, greatly appreciate you taking the time this morning. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Greg.
It is Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's news